Hey Zelda fanatics, HMK here with a quick primer. So I wrote, voiced, and partially edited this video before E3 in order to try and nail down a way to make Zelda 20 better using Breath of the Wild as a base. And then E3 happened and we all saw what the net was going crazy for. Zelda 20 is a Breath of the Wild sequel. So of course I had to go ahead and retool this video given the revelation, but for the most part my points remain intact. But after every point in this video, I'm gonna add an addendum like I'm doing now that will incorporate the fact that Breath of the Wild 2 is Zelda 20 and how that will affect and enrich each point. Sounds cool? Good? Cool? Yeah, so let's continue the hype. How you doing Zelda fanatics? HMK here with the third part of a 3-video series that aims to tackle talking points of Breath of the Wild, where it stands among the Zelda series as the latest 3D open world Zelda and how it can be applied to what is beyond the horizon for the series. Breath of the Wild, a game many place at the top of their Zelda lists, including me, for now. But it could be better. I talk about 5 things Breath of the Wild got right and 5 things Breath of the Wild got wrong. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the apex. How to make Breath of the Wild better. And by that, I mean how to make Zelda 20 amazing. Because it is possible with fans all over the globe ready and waiting for Zelda 20. Boy, that's a big attractive number, isn't it? We're gonna take the standard that Breath of the Wild set for that bad boy and talk about how it can be improved for that dream of a title. So, let's get right into the noise. So we tackled 5 good and 5 bad. For a primer, I think you should go back and watch those videos whenever you get the chance. This video is going to tackle some very specific points on how Breath of the Wild was approached as a game and how the game itself approached various qualities that the Zelda series is known for or what the game itself was known for. Trying to improve each point to help get an idea on how amazing and improved Breath of the Wild could be as a base for Zelda 20. First up, Breath of the Wild's approach to dungeons had many a Zelda fan divided and yearning for their previous ways of having huge, intricate temples to solve across many set pieces in the world, and I agree with them. Although I did really enjoy the divine beasts and the Sheikah shrines, the loss of more traditional dungeons did leave a lot to be desired. The next Zelda game can bring those types of traditional temples back and put them into a discovery sense like some of the Sheikah shrines, so that way they can still be incorporated into the open air sense of Breath of the Wild. You will have to hunt for these temples but find a way to unlock or unearth them before you can access them and complete them in any order and go at your pace. Once inside, it will conduct like a traditional updated Zelda dungeon. Puzzles and dangers can be completed with items and abilities you gain off the bat like in Breath of the Wild. I feel this will be a massive improvement to how dungeons were applied in Breath of the Wild, but don't get me wrong, I still want those shrines to return. Don't take them away from me, Dad! Alrighty! Thanks to the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, it really does seem that traditional dungeons are going to return given their absence in the first game. This time around, they, or some of them, seem to be buried deep within the earth. I'm sure Nintendo will find a cool way to reincorporate them in this vast version of Hyrule. I had a theory that talks about the idea of Sheikah towers leading down into the earth and acts as a path to each dungeon. Speaking of these temples and worlds, water-based areas were completely unexplorable under the deep due to the Zelda team opting for the Wind Waker approach to water, which is understandable given the insane scope of the game. However, since we got Zoras and a ton of marine life in the game, it did rub me a bit on the wrong side, especially since we got a full Zora set of clothes. Imagine a fully explorable underwater segment in a Breath of the Wild style game that could reveal incredible new settings and a whole unexplored frontier. Of course, this means that All Reliable will have to return as well. Granted, this can also bring back fishing. I miss fishing. Overall, exploring the deep adds tons to do in the game. In this day and age, I do believe Nintendo could create a system where navigating and fighting in the water is more enjoyable than anything we've seen previously in a Zelda game. Okay, so since we got the confirmation that Zelda 20 is Breath of the Wild's sequel, we will revisit the same Hyrule as before. The idea of underwater areas does seem a bit shaky now, but I think it would be dope if the Zelda team were to increase the amount of areas explorable in this known Hyrule by allowing us to dive into these previously unknown water areas. What do you guys think? Speaking of stuff to do, Something I felt was sorely missing from Breath of the Wild, given it takes place in a post-apocalyptic Hyrule, is the notion of a mission board system in the game, where travelers can put up requests for Link to accomplish, effectively adding a robust side quest system. While Nintendo did kind of tread these waters in some of their side quests that you had to find in the overworld, it didn't really hit the nail on the board. These missions can range from fetch quests, extermination battle missions, and chain missions that require you to accomplish a certain task to unlock the follow-up mission that Link can accomplish. And of course, the rewards of these missions, depending on their difficulty or place, would yield some cool rupees, weapons, perks, and even materials. Oh yeah, this idea still stands hard. Especially since we're back to a post-apocalyptic Hyrule, and this after the supposed advent of the Calamity, Hyrule would probably be back on the true road of rebuilding in the sequel. The notion of mission boards would definitely be more prevalent now, since adding them would make sense in helping the land of Hyrule return to greatness after its initial end of the Calamity. But I mean, yeah, Ganon is coming back, but that doesn't mean progress should be halted. And oh baby, when talking about materials, you would think in a game that has tons of materials that synthesizing would be something featured. While yes, but actually no. Breath of the Wild skimmed this surface so hard. Food and materials were only used for cooking and enhancement. While there were very few shops that actually provided this service, it was definitely something that the game lacked. This needs to change in Zelda 20, as creating powerful and rare weapons and armor that you can only obtain through synthesis adds an incredible rewarding element to exploring the world and completing missions. Perhaps they can throw in the concept of blueprints into the mix that will allow you to create incredibly rare and powerful artifacts that will be crucial in the most dire of situations during your gameplay, making it so that you can topple specific enemies that stand in your way of a further goal. Given that this is a sequel to Breath of the Wild and sequels tend to expand hard on systems explored in a previous game, I see no reason for the idea of synthesis to not be a thing in Breath of the Wild sequel. There are probably going to be more weapons, armor, items galore, and in order to compensate the system of acquiring them, synthesis would be a great bypass. Oh, we talking about enemies? We need more enemy variety and attack patterns. While Breath of the Wild's AI was impressive, the variety of enemies easily got repetitive when you realize the bulk is just an elemental type difference of the same enemies scattered across the map, and many Zelda standards were MIA in this game. They can change that in Zelda 20. I understand Nintendo was going for a theme, but I don't think they should let the enemy variety suffer. I mean, we didn't get many aerial opposition in the form of air-based enemies in Breath of the Wild. That can use some work and make it so that each of these enemies have to be fought strategically in a certain way. While elemental oppositions did allow you to cheese specific threats, make it so that certain attacks and ways of attacking would be the only way to take down a specific enemy, like how they worked like puzzles back in the day. I miss that. Bruh, the fact that Nintendo seems to be going full spooky scary skeletons with this trailer to the sequel of Breath of the Wild gives me hope for more wild and staple Zelda enemies to return in this game. I'm talking about Re-Dead, Skulltulas, Wall and Floor Masters, Dead Hands, and even Dark Nuts. The variety of enemies is definitely a main point of criticism in Breath of the Wild, so Nintendo has the mad chance to fix this easily in the sequel. And you know what else I missed? Oh man, now this is something I do not feel bad about blasting Breath of the Wild about. I love the game, but boy did the main villain turn out to suck, especially given its incredible concept. In the first true Zelda game to incorporate extensive voice acting, it was a huge missed opportunity to skip out on a voiced Ganon or Ganondorf. This mishap cannot be tolerated in the next Zelda. Ganon and Ganondorf are such beloved characters within the series, and to see him come to life in ways never done before will be something of awe-inspiring. Nintendo really has something that can be hyped up tremendously with the concept of a fully voiced Ganon that can make us think, applaud, and fear many times over, especially given what he was capable of in the past games. Fleshing out the main series villain in this capacity would easily hit it out of the park and enrich the story way more than the Breath of the Wild ever was. I don't even have to speak on this. We all saw The Boy. Speaking on that story, Before, I've praised the depth of the story and the overall theme of it. However, I criticized the presentation and application of said story. Nintendo could bypass that troubled presentation strategy to help tell a coherent tale in the advent of Zelda 20. If they're going to continue the open air play at your pace and direction motif, they can create a linear option for those who want to experience elements of the story instead of gaining parts in a jumbled mess that is worse than putting together a 500-piece 5x5 puzzle. Let's say they do return to acquiring memories. You can get the first memory and that memory will specifically unlock the very next, and as you find that one, so on and so forth. That would help you understand a grand story way better. But if they decide to ditch the overworld memory acquisition strat, they can easily opt for a Link Between Worlds style, where each main dungeon completed gives you more story and insight on what's going on in the game. Just don't make the story gain as weak as in that game. Breath of the Wild was amazing, but definitely had some mishaps with the story that Zelda 20 can learn immensely from to make the best Zelda game ever. Breath of the Wild was set up in a way for you to discover your memories after sleeping for 100 years. However, Breath of the Wild sequel already tells us that Link and Zelda, spoilers, are up and about and ready to roll. The whole makeup of the story in the first game surrounded you reclaiming what was lost and rediscovering yourself and your place in the world. That is done. Link and Zelda are primed to continue their story and adventure into the unknown. So I'm incredibly sure that this time around, this game is going to be more story driven and have a better focus on presentation. Also, horseback combat could be better too. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Did you agree with these points? What elements would you like to see help make Zelda 20 better using Breath of the Wild as a base? Leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section below, and be sure to hit that like button as well as subscribe and hit the bell to know when more Zelda content gets uploaded to the channel. So until then, I've been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.